Hello, I'm Mary Petersen, and I am a volunteer with the Santa Clarita chapter of the American Cancer Society. And in celebration of National Cancer Survivors Month in June, we are honoring cancer survivors in our community. And today we welcome Eva Crawford. Eva is a metastatic breast cancer survivor. She is a dynamic spokesperson and an advocate for increased funding for metastatic breast cancer research. We welcome you and we're delighted to have you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So would you like to tell us a little bit about your background and your history, and then we can just go from there?
Sure. Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I was, a regular mom of 3 young kids. They are 6, 8, and 10 now, and this was almost 3 years ago. So they were young, probably 4, 6, and 8. And I was working as a drug representative for a dermatology company, and I would go to my Orange Theory workout classes every day and really just doing the 10 million things that moms of 3 do when they're working, taking care of the kids, my husband, and just juggling everything, all their sports and everything. And I went in for my first mammogram, and that mammogram had me called back for a MRI, and then from the MRI to a biopsy. And I started thinking, oh my gosh, this sounds really serious. And one thing that I'll say is a few months prior, I had a very horrible back pain that felt like back labor. And it was so bad that I went to the emergency room, and they tested me and said that there might be a thickening in my colon wall, that I should get a colonoscopy. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, always, thinking the worst, like most of us do. Oh my gosh, I must be dying of cancer. That was my go-to. Probably shouldn't have been. And so I went in for my colonoscopy, and I expected to wake up with my family surrounding me, like, we're so sorry, and they're like, oh, everything looks good. I was like, awesome. So, everything looked good. I still had the back pain, but it wasn't ever as bad as that excruciating pain from when I went to the ER. So then when I started realizing I'm getting a biopsy, oh my goodness, this is not good. I wonder if it's related to the back pain. And then I was vacationing with my family in New York, and I got the call that nobody wants to receive. And it was it was my gynecologist saying, unfortunately, both biopsies are positive. The lymph node on the right side are positive, malignant, and your right breast is, malignant for cancer. And it's like, nobody wants to hear that, cancer. That's just the one word that I eat healthy. I eat the berries. I eat the antioxidants. I do my yoga. I do my workouts. why would I have cancer? It just didn't make any sense, and I was kind of in shock. I was just in shock. And then I talked to my next doctor, and I said, I'm in New York. He said, you've got to get on the plane, as soon as you can, and get to a surgeon as soon as possible. I think the fact that it was not only in my breast, but it was in my lymph node alluded to the fact that there could be a spread. So then I'm like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be in my bones. And I remember saying goodbye to my cousin and his wife. And his wife said, when I were leaving New York, his wife said, it's okay. We're just going to take it one step at a time. Everything's going to be okay. And I said, Rachel, I think it's in my bones. And she's like, no, we're going to take it one step at a time. And we drove away. And I was just like, is this the last time I'm going to see he's like my brother, he's my same age. Is this the last time I'm going to see my cousin and his family? Is this the last time I'm going to see New York City? Is this the last time, everything, your mind starts thinking that everything's the last thing. And then, oh my gosh, I have 3 kids. Is this, and I'm trying to not let them realize what's happening, and I'm just in the airport before we leave, just telling my husband, please take care of them. And he's on the phone with my friends, he's like, she thinks she's dying. She thinks she's dying now. She might be dying. We don't know, but she thinks she's dying today. And because that was the feeling, you know, like you get diagnosed with cancer and you just think death. And it doesn't have to be that way. I think the disease has come a long way where it doesn't have to be like an imminent death. But that's when you hear those words, that's what it feels like.
Sentence. Yeah. So then what?
Yeah, exactly. So then I got home, went to UCLA. It's like I'm in a tube. I'm in, you know, they're putting, you know, I'm constantly being picked, poked, prodded, MRI'd, scanned, everything. UCLA, it's like I'm a lab rat all of a sudden. So it's just like I'm sitting in these tubes going, oh my gosh, this is it. This is it. Why else would I be in these tubes? You know, why would my life be like this? I must be dying. So I'm feeling that that's what's happening. And then what happened next was they did the PET scan, and I remember they called again with the results, and the results were, Eva, your cancer has spread. You are a stage 4. It is metastatic breast cancer. It is in your bones and in your liver. And I was driving to pick up the kids from my parents' house. And I'm like, and I text my dad, can you keep the kids overnight? And he's like, yeah, sure. He didn't ask why, you know? Yeah. And so I U-turn and I just three-wayed my husband with the doctor. And I just was in a total zone. And when my husband got home, we just like started crying in each other's arms. Like, what is happening?
Yeah. So, then you immediately began treatment, or did you have surgery then? Or?
Yeah, well, they wanted me to go on chemo as soon as possible, but I had my left hip was about to break. Who knew? I was running.
It was in your hip.
Yeah. Yeah, and my spine, my hips, some in my skull. And so they wanted to do chemo right away, but they wanted to fix the hip first. So the first thing was to put a rod in my hip, have hip surgery. And then I have a port in my arm. So then they did the port in my arm. I tried to do in this arm. It didn't work. So this arm was all bruised. Then they did this arm. I was under during all this. And I woke up. It was this arm, 2 bruised arms. I was like, 2 bruised arms, port, hip. And then I was on a walker because, you know, relearning to walk because my with hip is, rod. With the rod. I had palliative care at my house. And I'm thinking, okay, I have palliative care. So I'm either going from palliative care to hospice, or I'm staying on palliative care, or I'm going from palliative care back to no care. And they were like, you're doing so good. You're doing so good. You're doing so good. You're going to be great. Like, we don't even think you need palliative care. And I'm like, okay, I hope that's good news, because I didn't want to go from palliative care to hospice, but I didn't know.
Did your kids, when this is all going on and you've got palliative care, and how did you explain that to them?
I think they were really scared. I think my husband took the boys aside because they could comprehend it and said, like, Mommy's sick. She has something called cancer. I don't think they even really knew what it was yet. Yeah. And we're going to need some help. And so we hired outside help. We hired a nanny to come and do the meals and get them off to school, because I was pretty much couch ridden. Yes. Because then I started getting my chemos. I did 6 chemo treatments here at UCLA in Valencia with Dr. Callahan. Mm-hmm. And so every 3 weeks I was getting chemo. So it really knocks you down. And then right when you start to build back up, then you go in for the next round of treatment. And so I did that 6 times, plus the surgery, plus the port surgery. And they just saw this woman, you know, driving them. She's great, but driving them to school every day and making meals. And they're like, why isn't it you? You know, like, are you going to die? I'm like, well, we're all going to die, you know? Like,
I love that when you said that in the article.
Oh, yeah.
That was really important. It's just a matter of how you're going to approach this.
Right. It's like, well, we all have the gift of life until we don't. But if I can wake up and move my body, and I mean, everything's like a privilege, right? I get up, it's a privilege. I move my body, it's a privilege. I can put on clothes. Today I did a little makeup and, you know, put in a cute outfit. Those things are a privilege. Doing yoga, being a mom, whether or not I choose to go back to work, that's a big thing right now that I'm sorting out. the nonprofit work I do. Everything I do is a privilege. As long as I can wake up and move my body, there's not a lot more I can ask for, because there's a lot of people in my situation with this disease that they just don't have the energy anymore. Yeah. They can't move their bodies. They might be in wheelchairs. A lot of people have lost hair and they're, dealing with their wigs and their weight, a lot of weight gain. Before there's weight loss, there's a lot of weight gain. So it's like, I look at all the people in my community that have gotten to the point that they're not able to get up, be happy, move their body. It's like the disease has taken them over. And I think, well, that could be me any day. And it's not me today. So today I get to live.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you finished your 6 rounds of chemo, then what was the next plan for treatment?
Yeah. So the next plan was to keep going every 3 weeks, dropping the chemo, but continuing with Herceptin and Perjeta, which are hormone blockers, and they're HER2 blockers, because I have a type of breast cancer. You probably heard of triple negative. A lot of people have heard of triple negative.
Yes.
I have triple positive.
Oh, which is a good...
Kind of, because they know exactly what's driving the cancer, and it's estrogen, progesterone, and the HER2 protein. And so my treatments block the HER2. That's Herceptin, like intercepting the HER2.
Yes.
So Herceptin and Perjeta, they block that protein from making too much of itself.
Yes.
And it's theorized that that's what's keeping me here, is I go in every 3 weeks for the infusions. The fact that they drop the chemo means that I can not be so tired and dragged down, not lose hair, not right. I drop the major side effects, and I'm left with like neuropathy. Like I have like tingling in my hands, tingling in my feet, bone pain, but things that are viable, right?
Yes.
Like things that they're not,
manageable.
Yes.
Yes. And you have said that you hope that this can, with research and with funding, that at some point, this can be, metastatic breast cancer can be like HIV/AIDS, where it's a chronic condition, but that it's survivable.
That is exactly what we are hoping for. Right now, it's terminal disease. I hate to say that word. Right now it is. And a lot of us don't prefer that word, so we call it currently incurable, because the hope is that it will eventually be curable. But it is also important to call it terminal, because that is what it is. We don't know how long the termination will be, hopefully long. But it's currently incurable. Right now, a stage 0 breast cancer patient, 1, 2, or 3, 30% of that community will end up in my shoes, unfortunately, and be metastatic. And I've seen, people with a stage 0 come back, and I get the calls because now my friends refer everyone over to me. I say, please just, I know what it's like to be newly diagnosed. Right. So if you know anyone, just have them call me and I can talk them through the nightmare that it is. And because 30% will become metastatic, it's really important that we think about the fact that breast cancer doesn't kill. You don't need your breasts. Right. They're not going to kill you. So anything going on in your breast does not kill. It is the spread of breast cancer that kills. And a lot of times, celebrities will die of metastatic breast cancer, and the news will say, oh, they died from breast cancer, or they died from complications of breast cancer. In my community, we can't stand that, because we're like, say the word, it's metastatic. They didn't die from breast cancer. Nobody dies from breast cancer. They died from metastatic. They died from the spread. When breast cancer spreads to your bones, your liver, your lungs, and your brain, those are the 4 most common places, that's what's going to get you. And mine did spread to my brain. I don't know if you know that.
You mentioned skull.
Well, skull in the beginning, but a few months ago, there was a spot in my cerebellum in my brain, and I had to get that radiated. So they put me in a full, like, Freddy Krueger, Jason, whatever mask,
I saw the photo.
Yes. And they zapped my my spot. And So it's not like having brain cancer, but it's breast cancer that spreads to your brain, and sometimes it's manageable. It's crazy what meds are doing these days.
Yes.
And that's why we need research. And the place that is best for us with metastatic breast cancer to give to is medavivor.org, only because they give all the money directly to research and they keep zero for themselves. And so 100% goes to research. There's about 3 or 4 people on staff. They don't draw from that money.
Yes.
They are on staff either voluntarily. There's a huge staff voluntarily, but those 3 or 4 people that are paid, they're not drawing from that money. They're backed by companies.
And does the research money go directly to metastatic research, breast cancer research?
Yes.
Yeah, which is
directly
so important.
research for metastatic breast cancer. October's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and there's a lot of, we call it pink washing, where people and companies and businesses will turn a profit on pink things. And it's not going towards research. And a lot of it's not even really going toward anything but awareness. And we are already aware of the disease. But I think what we need is awareness of how you die from the disease, and that's the spread. And the funding gets to go and needs to go to metastatic breast cancer. That's where we need it. If we cure metastatic breast cancer, we've cured breast cancer.
Right.
So if stage 4 people are able to live normally and have a chronic condition or even have a cure, then any other stage is a bygone. It's, it won't be here.
Exactly.
So I think that's the idea, is to really find out where the money should go. And if it goes to MetaVivor, we know that it's going into a lot of college institutions and research centers, and they'll tell you, they'll break it down exactly, like this month it went to this one in this particular study, and we're turning out drugs every day. And it's awesome because it's a horrible disease. I go onto my Facebook groups and I look every day, and I lost someone this month. And this was a woman that also had triple positive that I thought like she was going to be here for the long haul. So and none of us know, right?
It's unpredictable.
None of us know. But with this disease, it's like breathing down your neck, like people say, you could get hit by a bus tomorrow. Yeah, that's right. But we see our bus and we see it coming closer and closer and closer, and we see it running over our friends. Yes. So any of us can get hit by a bus tomorrow, but we already feel like we're like getting hit by a bus. So that's a little bit of the difference. But yeah, it's a great organization. Also, the pink washing is something that I hope people don't get bought into. My community pretty much doesn't like pink for that reason. I'm wearing pink today because it was bright and friendly, but our actual metastatic breast cancer colors, if you can see them in my scarf, that my mother made.
Yeah.
Teal for healing. Green is the triumph of spring over winter. And there's a little bit of pink because that means that it originated in the breast. So MetaVivor colors are pink, teal, and green. And in October, we have a campaign called Light Up NBC. Mm-hmm. So last year, Santa Clarita City Hall lit up in our colors. Ventura City Hall lit up in our colors. We had one of the bank buildings downtown light up in our colors. LAX lit up in our colors, and that's just California. So all over the country and all over the world, we're lighting up. And so if you know anyone, or if anyone knows of anyone that can help us get more lights, I think the lights are going to help, and the campaign's going to help, and the money goes to MetaVivor, but the lights really bring aware that it's not a pink disease, it's a pink, teal, and green disease.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that brings us to your treatment and the necessity of metastatic breast cancer research, because your regimen has a finite amount of time, doesn't it? Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So my meds are supposed to last 2 years on average. And right at the 2-year mark, it's like, oh, there's a spot in your brain and there's a couple spots right here in your chest. So we had to make a decision. Do I stay on this treatment or do I change to another treatment? Because there's only so many treatments and we don't know if each treatment's we're going to respond or not respond. So if I respond, great. But when I stop responding, then I go to the next line of treatment, and then the next line. And when the treatments are out, then we're done. And, I'm under. the weather. And so I rely on these treatment options being available to live my life and to raise my kids. Because anything after raising my kids is better, right? Like I do the math all the time. Like, okay, my youngest is 6. So she needs about 12 more years in the house. So I get to live 12 more years. But if I live 14, then I have like 2 years to travel the world. Or, like, I think like, I just care about raising my kids because no one wants to have a motherless life, Yes. Some people have to. It's not fair.
Yes.
Yeah. And my mom's, in her 70s and she still has her mother, So it's like amazing. It's just such a miracle. And so I feel like kids, the least through high school, should have a mother. They should have a mother a lot longer, but that's my short-term goal.
Yeah, short plan.
Yeah. I want to be alive to raise them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I know you mentioned that some people have told you to not go on to the metastatic breast cancer Facebook community pages because they felt that it was just going to bring you down.
Right.
How do you respond to that?
Yeah. There's rabbit holes, right? And so none of us want to be on a rabbit hole of being on Facebook and being upset and then looking at the next one and the next one, and I can see in my disease a lot, like kind of going down that rabbit hole and why that wouldn't be good for you. But for me, I feel like it keeps me grounded. I like to be in my community and I'm inspired by the strong women in my community. And even if and when they pass, like the strength that it takes to die, right? Like we always think like, you're so strong, you're alive, you're vibrant, you're courageous. Well, imagine like the strength and the courage that it takes to die and to look at your young child and go like, I'm sorry, but I have to go. And that's what my friend Erica did this month. She had to look at her young daughter and say like, I've got to go. And she had to look at her husband and he had to tell her like, it's okay, Erica. You're a champion. You've done it. Like you've lived, you've done it. You did your best. You were an advocate. You made a difference, but like you get to go. And so like the courage that she took in dying and the beauty that she took in dying, like, that's inspiring, right? And it makes me so grateful for every day. Like if I didn't go to that community and I just denied my disease, because some people do that too, because the body can only take so much, right? I'm strong. I can take this. I can take going into the Facebook pages, but some bodies, they can't take it. So it's easier to deny and put that, and it's not wrong. It's just the way different people cope. Yeah. They put that curtain and they go, I have stage 4 cancer. I can't even think about it. I don't have to deal with it right now. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to go to work. I'm just not going to think about it. And they bury it. And then they just, they just pass and no one ever knew they had it.
Yeah. Well, and there's something really beautiful in what you are doing to honor your journey. You are documenting.
Yes.
Tell us a little about that.
Yes. So my friend Vinny Randazzo, he's a awesome guy. He's a award-winning videographer, producer. I asked him when I was being diagnosed, if this is actually cancer, would you film? And he said, absolutely, I will film. So since even the day I got diagnosed, I was filming myself. And so then he took over and we've been documenting the whole journey because I didn't want to forget. I didn't know I was going to be a stage 4. And I thought maybe I'm a stage 2, which is what they originally told me. And then maybe I get better. But I never wanted to forget what it was like to go through it. And so I wanted to have it on film, my journey, so that I remember, and so maybe to inspire anybody else that might want to be inspired and just to know what it's like. So we've got to get to editing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything that you would like to share or, leave with viewers who are listening to you?
Yeah. I would say cancer affects everybody. My grandfather died from mesothelioma when I was 6. He was my very best friend. So that's, that's painful every day. So we probably all know people affected with cancer, and it affects every single one of us. So anything we can do to help any kind of cancer, to donate to research, to allow people to make it a chronic disease would be great. Light Up MBC is going to be awesome in October. Encourage your communities to light up in pink, green, and teal. Don't get bought into pink washing in October. I ask a lot of questions like, where's this money going to? Awareness. Well, what do you mean? Pink ribbons? Like, are we saving lives? Are we extending the disease? Ask a lot of questions. Don't buy into pink washing. But yeah, any kind of cancer donations to research and institutions can really help people. And hug your mother, hug your father if you have them. Hug your kids tightly, your friends, because every day is a gift, and none of us know when we're going to get the call. So that's what I would say.
And just one more time, the organization is called
metaviver.org.
METAVIVOR.
Yeah, metaviver.org.
Yes,
and
100% of that money goes to metastatic breast cancer research.
Yes, absolutely. And if you're in California, we're going to be doing Light Up MBC California page, so we'll keep you posted on that too.
Great.
Yeah.
It has been so overwhelming and inspiring. I'm getting teary-eyed just talking to you. You're just such a beautiful soul.
Thank you
and we're so
much.
happy that you could share with us and educate us. And, we just appreciate your advocacy. You're just moving forward. You're moving research forward for everyone. And we're so grateful for you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you so
coming.
much for everything you've done. Yeah. Thanks, guys.